You're listening to the Premier Podcast Network. Welcome to the pinnacle of wrestling entertainment, Premier Streaming Network. Join us at watchonpremier.com to unlock the ultimate wrestling experience. Curated to perfection. Immerse yourself in the spectacular world of wrestling history, where classic battles and unforgettable moments are at your fingertips. Join us today and experience the epitome of curated wrestling content. Because when it comes to wrestling entertainment, Premier sets the standard. Be Premier.
Hey everybody, this is Dominic, DeAngelo. I am of Inside the Ropes primarily, but I'm also of ad-free shows and other outlets here and there. But I'm here on the Premier Streaming Network. As usual, it's episode 10, none other than Mr. Rob Van Dam. Rob, man, new location, new frame going on here. Good to see you, brother.
This is, you might not know this, Dominic, but I think the real fans know that this special setup is because of the Barbie movie premiere.
Oh,
Katie and I went to the Barbie movie last night. I guess it's not out yet, but it's there was a preview showing or something, and she was all excited about it. She loves Barbie. She's bought everything with Barbie brand on it for months. And this was supposed to be like a big party.
yeah.
And there was several theaters that were showing this. And man, there was no party. There was so many disappointed girls all dressed up in pink, you know, and not even there was a lame like a piece of tinfoil stapled on the wall to take a picture in front of. That was about it.
That was it?
That was it, yeah. And they were advertising all these different theaters were giving away different gifts. Katie was showing me, you know, this one, you get this pink Corvette and it's filled with popcorn, and you know, and she was,
didn't have any of that shit for her?
None of it. She looked on Instagram at what some of the other ones, and all of them were disappointed. Like she found a couple had like one, like I guess one of the theaters had the car, but that was all they had, and then somebody else had one other lame thing, and that was all they had. But all there was a button on the way out, a little tiny button.
That was it?
I love Barbie, yeah.
Because I heard like the premiere, when they had the red carpet, it was the pink carpet. And then they had,
sure.
So some of the stars, like, you know, I know John Cena had a cameo in the movie as a merman.
Yeah,
and,
it was entertaining.
Yeah.
You know, obviously, I dragged her to go see that with me.
Right, that was on your calendar for months.
Yeah. But I did appreciate the story that they told and stuff. And I like that girl, Margot Robbie.
Oh, she's great.
Yeah.
I want to see her in the Tonya Harding movie that they did. I haven't seen that yet. And
Is it out? Is it out?
Oh, it's been long out. Yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen it either.
Yeah, I've been horrible with catching up on movies and stuff. But yeah. No, I think she's a great actress. And so the movie itself, was it like tongue-in-cheek kind of humor? Like, would that be something like I could go see and be like, I'm pretty entertained by it? Or...
Well, I can't guarantee that you can go see it. But it was, you know, it was like in a Flintstone world where the Flintstone movie was real, but, you know, cartoon-like. And it was, there was a lot of tongue-in-cheek humor that kids wouldn't get that was more adult and stuff like that. But, yeah, I thought it was entertaining, and I liked the story they told because it was a reflection of Barbie's actual real history.
No
and
way.
And the controversy that comes with, you know, that whole thing. So I thought that was a cool way that they told it. And I know there was a ton of inside jokes I didn't get because every Barbie or every old Ken doll or whatever had like a minimum toy run or whatever had a cameo that everyone else in the theater popped for, you know. And so I thought that was cool too.
I'm going to make an admission here. When I was like 7 years old, my older sister, she had Barbies and stuff like that. And so I remember getting one Ken doll, and the Ken doll had, like, if you wet his solid hair, stars would show up in his hair, and he was like a Hollywood Ken, and he had golden sneakers and stuff like that. So I wonder if there's a reference to him. I don't know, but
there probably was. I don't remember. Yeah, but Ryan Gosling worked his ass off too, playing Ken. You know, and it was a a bit of a musical, but watching the commitment that it takes as an actor, to actually be that dramatic, singing words in a musical, like it was entertaining and at the same time, like admirable. Like, yeah, that's a committed actor right there. You don't care how stupid he looks.
Right.
Yeah.
If you had to do an adaptation of a pop culture thing or anything, a movie kind of thing, whether it was like, video game or I don't know, an action figure line or anything like that, what would there be something that intrigued you, or is it just like, hey, the money's right, I'll do it?
Well, I mean, that's almost true with anything. The money's right.
Sure.
I don't know. It'd be cool to do a something today on, like, in the tradition of Reefer Madness.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it'd be interesting to portray like the ridiculous arguments the opposition pulls out or keeps out for 70 years, even though it's been debunked over and over again. And yeah, I could see a screenplay in that.
Dude, that would be great, actually. Yeah, you could do a lot of fun shit with new Reefer Madness. All right, I like it. All right, let's get to a little feedback here. There was only a couple really good. Well, one's just hilarious because it's straight ass from a basic thinker. You're gonna recognize it when you see it because you commented on it. But we'll start with this one here. I wanted to talk about him a little bit more because you touched upon him a second. But
awesome.
Freedom Pictures says Rob got me with Billy Jack. I grew up on Billy Jack thanks to my dad. He got me into all the classics. That made me think of my dad and some good memories. That was his favorite scene from those movies. Thank you for that. Yeah, I wanted to ask you about Billy Jack a little more. He was a pretty big influence for you then, or everything like that. And yeah, like, just talk about that a little bit more. I thought that was pretty cool that you made mention of him because I'm completely unaware of him.
Well, so I hadn't heard of him until he was brought up as a reference for the character that I would be in Wrong Side of Town. So, okay. Yeah, the director slash writer slash producer, David DeFalco, he brought that up and said I should watch Billy Jack because David knew me well and said that'd be a good role model or someone for me to keep in mind because he was very calm and collected like me, but he was an action guy and would fight while keeping us cool. And so, because of that, I watched Billy Jack and I was like, yeah, man, this dude's really cool. It's like a Indian Chuck Norris.
Yeah, sweet. I'm going to look him up a little bit more too. I'm intrigued. All right. So the other feedback I had.
The very famous scene that this is what's bigger than him. And by the way, what a story this guy has, the real guy, because like he invested all his money into his own movie. And then I think he actually rented out. It's been a while since I've read his history, but he probably got a script turned down. That's usually part of the inspiration, but I don't know for sure that happened. But he ended up putting his own money in and like renting out theaters and showing his own movie. Took a huge gamble on the finances of it and had lines out, that went out around the block. And he just crushed it and made like so much money. Might have made too many sequels eventually, possibly, and maybe worn the brand out a little bit. But the very famous scene that is bigger than Billy Jack is when he's talking to this jackass, and they've reached that point, where it's like, hey, it's time to pick a hand,
right?
And he just says, you know what I'm going to do? He says, I'm going to put this foot right here. Right there on that side of your face, and just, right there. And there's nothing you're going to be able to do about it. And the dude's just like, oh, yeah. And then he's like, it's a great scene.
Oh, yeah. All right. I'm looking him up. All right. So this is the basic thinker feedback. This is pretty funny when I started reading it. All right. So Briander 100. This was on one of your newer ones. No, 6 days ago it said. RVD has a smoker's voice. He needs to stop smoking so he doesn't get lung cancer. And you said, thanks, but it's also called a wrestler's voice. Not only does cannabis not cause cancer, it prevents it, but I'd like you to know that it has my lungs screened about a month ago, just for the purpose of hoping that to make this point, and they appear normal for a non-smoker. At 52, my lungs are at least as good as yours, Brian. And then he says, I never heard of a wrestler's voice. It definitely sounds like a smoker's voice. Smoking cannabis is bad for the lungs, and it will cause cancer, not prevent it. Cannabis has more toxins in them, tobacco, and a person is inhaling longer and more intensely than cigarettes. That's why it's coughing so much after smoking it. I would have to see a report of your lung screening to see if that's even the case. Is there no way your lungs are as good as mine, as I've never smoked any of that, and I do cardio on a regular basis? Rob, you never do cardio.
No, I don't. I'm sure I would have a choking fit and fall on the ground if I even stepped on a treadmill. So that's, so some people think that I waste time talking to people that are like impossible, and if there's something that I think. Sometimes I think I can get through to them,
Yeah.
This guy obviously so there's nothing to say to him, you know what I mean? His mind's made up regardless of evidence. He knows more than I do, even though I've been studying anyway. But a lot of times, because it's a public format, there's a lot of other people that could look at it and could learn something, so because of that, I will comment on his comment. And there was a guy named the Prince of Pot, Mark Emery. He was a very high profile guy in the advocacy movement from Canada, and it was his goal to try to overpopulate the world with cannabis seeds, and he was in trouble for shipping seeds from Canada to the States. United States wanted Canada to extradite him forever and ever. Canada wasn't doing it. I met him during this period. He's a very wanted man in the United States, but he was free to roam in Canada. And we were there on a WWE tour, and I got the chance to meet him and smoke with him and stuff. And he told me this, which, I mean, I'm telling you the source right there. I have a lot of people that have told me stuff, and, this take it for what it's worth, but it always made sense to me. He said that that the THC in the marijuana smoke goes into our alveoli, which, if you don't know, are the little airbags inside of our lungs that fill up with air. And he said the THC goes into the deep pockets and wrinkles of the alveoli and actually scoops out the impurities, and thereby actually cleans, I'm trying to put a G in there, cleans our lungs out. And he said that because people that smoke inhale more, it stretches your lungs out more, and thereby it reaches into those folds or pockets easier, and it reaches spots that normal people wouldn't clean out, because normal people, unless they blow up balloons or something for a living, they never go, a lot of people, that's not part of their regular day. And so Mark Emery told me that, and that always stuck out in my mind. So take that for what it's worth. To me, with all of the research I've done and absence of any cancer-linking credible articles, and the fact that Michael Phelps chooses to smoke cannabis when lungs are almost the most important thing when it comes to swimming. I get my education from the real world and from the books, not from somebody who's telling me what his teachers or mom told him.
Or what he watched on Reefer Madness.
Even, yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? It's good to get a variety of angles and range of different perspectives on everything before you make your mind up.
Right.
And obviously, you know, I've been, you could say, yeah, I'm biased, but I'm biased for a reason, though. I became biased with the more information that I took in. And I know that the original misinformation campaign that Harry Anslinger used in the 30s to try to, and successfully to prohibit marijuana, I know that was intentional disinformation. So you got that, you know. So when someone's going to say, well, I heard it does this or that, well, I'm not surprised. They used to say that it made you violent and have crazy sex with animals, you know.
Ridiculous. And it's funny too, because you look back too and you see like the smoking ads that were back then for cigarettes and stuff, and they're like, hey, the doctor recommends you smoke one a day or whatever it was.
7 out of 8 or 4 out of 5 doctors recommends Camels. Right.
Right.
I know. That's what really bothers me a lot so much, Dominic, lately is I wasn't a fan of history in school. I wish I would have been, you know.
Me too, yeah.
Selectively, I loved Greek mythology, but to me, I was trying to live in that blurred line, you know, between fiction and nonfiction. And this was real to the people back then. They lived their lives thinking that Helios in a chariot drags the sun across the sky every day, and they really believed that, and their decisions were made off that, just like the people that thought the world was flat. But now I realize history is so important, and I realize how much it's missing, because to me, everyone in today's culture seems shocked. And you wouldn't be shocked if you learned where we came from. We're on a path. We didn't just start. And everything is progressive. Everything takes time, and it's crazy. I went on stage the other day. I just uploaded this on my YouTube so people can watch my comedy, a new comedy set that I went up and did a few days ago. But man, there's certain things, like I talk about segregation, and everyone's like, oh, and they clam up, you know, and it's like I didn't make that up. That really happened, you know. Like I don't know. I don't think they know that. I don't know, or they just don't want to acknowledge it. But anyway, it's true with everything. Like history can explain like so much, you know. Really, I remember how I got to it. What were we talking about? The guy with the cannon. But yeah. So anyway, I mean, long history of disinformation. The truth is still coming out, and whatever, you know, whatever. We've got 12 states left that have not adopted a legal program. They're going to be wiped out, just like segregation, which was the point to my humor, by the way.
Right.
Like any stupid rule, just like alcohol prohibition, just like, you know, women's rights prohibition. You know what I mean? It's amazing when you think back just a few years ago how different everything was. You know, Katie and I were just looking at, you know, when was the child seat invented? You know, I was like 6 years old when it was, I guess when it became mandatory. Maybe I was 8. But, I mean, I'm sure they just, like, put me in the seat and strapped me in or whatever. And,
hey, you'll be fine.
yeah, everything was just so different then. We're always adding rules. And some of them are added for the purpose of increasing power to certain people, and some of them are added with the actual common sense factor because enough people get involved.
Exactly. Yeah, there's definitely like the tug and pull of like stuff that's positive and then stuff that's negative, and then when you come down to it, it's like what you were saying. It's like if you go back and look at history, and the older I get to, I realize it's like, geez, history really repeats itself in so many ways. It's just like cyclical. Where it's just like, wow, how are we not learning from our past mistakes, whether that's society or, you know, as a whole or whatever it may be. But
right. And I mean, our country's only like 250 years old. I mean, it's really like, how many generations is that? Not very many. Great grandpa, you know, or it's like, bam, we went from, you know, being controlled and run by the English to being our own little country with a few states to growing. It's like people act like the way it is now, like they're just like they think it's always been like that, and why is it like that, you know? And I don't know. It's the proud ignorance always gets me. Somebody, I don't know if maybe you'll grab this comment, I don't know. But somebody was talking about hate crimes, and they were just saying how, like, to me it's like, what a mountain to you know, what a hill to die on, to stand for some hate crimes are over reported or whatever, you know. And and they want to stand by it. Like, yeah, they put all that out there like it's really happened, and somebody actually said something to the effect of the last 2 hate crimes were both fake, and it was like that Jesse Smollett thing or whatever. And like, my first thought is, you think those were the last 2 hate crimes that occurred? Like, is that even? I can't respond to somebody that stupid. Like, if they really don't know that happens every single day to so many people, if they don't have that perspective, then I can't do nothing for you.
Right. There's only so much you can help. Like we were saying too, like, you're making those comments and hoping that you're helping other people, not necessarily the person that made the initial comment.
Hopefully other people. Man, if I got that right, you know, that's what he was saying, then hopefully some other people at least checked themselves and said, well, that can't be right. You know,
that guy looks like a moron.
I know a lot of victims of it did. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
You have different color skin. That's like part of your everyday that you deal with, whether it's certain looks or disrespect or not getting, you know, the priority with whatever. Every day. There's no question about it.
No, absolutely not. It's just like, it always happens. And yeah, like growing up in Pennsylvania, and, you know, 2 black people in my town, basically, like, or my high school, it was just like, wow, I didn't even consider like what, you know, an African American goes throughout every day. And it's like,
of course not. Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Opens my eyes up. It was just, it blew my mind. Like, when I had that epiphany, it was like, geez, I don't have to worry about certain stuff.
Yeah, like, fortunately, you and I know it's important to reprogram as an adult.
Yeah. Very important.
I saw today on the news some Republican dude, Eli, whatever, this guy, he was talking about black people, and he used the adjective colored people, and then, you know, got a lot of backlash from it. And it's funny because it's kind of ironic, because it makes him sound like a racist when I think he was trying to point out, you know, something that he wasn't a racist or something. But you know, where I grew up, that word was used and was not considered politically incorrect. You know what I mean? Colored was an option to use to describe. I think it was probably just black people. I don't think we called. I don't know. My mom would always joke and say, "What color were they?" You know, and kind of make us realize what we just said, you know, was stupid.
Yeah.
Sometimes, but I didn't even know. Like, I remember, like, when I first started traveling around with Booker T in WWE, and I mean, I was still coming out of that show. You know what I mean? Like, I remember one time using that in the car with him, and then realizing when I said it that I don't even know. Like, did I just say something offensive like that? You know, like, I don't remember the way that I worded it, but I knew, like, when I said it, that it didn't feel, you know, like that was something that I'd heard and, you know, since being back home, or it's something about it, you know, red flagged. And Booker knew and understood, you know, that I just like a lot of people, I didn't know much at all. Came from such a sheltered area, but man, when it came to knowing like the history of black people, and knowing even a lot of politically correctness about whatever, you know, he always understood, you know, that I was legitimately ignorant, not trying to be rude. Yeah. And we always got along, you know, but that was just something, you know, that I've brought up a few times. And besides the 2 or 3 black people that we might have had in our school, maybe in each class, might have had 3. That would have been. But besides that, like, I had no idea what a Jewish person looked like, or I don't know, like an Italian. Like, I had no idea. It was just, I didn't know. They were all just, there was white and there was black people, and, you know, they look kind of different. Everyone else, I didn't know. And now it's like just being more worldly and stuff. You know, it's like Katie was talking about this girl she got a crush on, and she was saying she's Polynesian. I was like, yeah, she looks Polynesian. I can see that. I wouldn't have known that as a kid.
No. Oh, yeah, I wouldn't have either. No way. It really opens up your eyes. I always tell people, like, if you grow up in a small town, it really helps to move to a bigger city, even if it's just for a little bit, stuff like that. So I learned a lot doing that, like crazy.
You'll open your mind. A lot of people don't want to open their minds or their experiences.
Yeah. People need to get their gears turned a little bit. All right, Rob, I always ask you, have you watched any wrestling this week?
Very, very little. I saw something on YouTube, and it was Jungle Boy doing a heel promo, walking to the ring, and he had everybody listening to him. You know, he smooth, wasn't screaming like I'm gonna rip your head off, you know, but it was still getting heat, and he just, you know, was comfortable, took his time. So I was impressed with that. He'd be speaking, he'd like walk, step through the ropes, you know, say some more stuff, go, you know, get where he's. So, but I saw that, and it was about Hook, and it was about the FTW belt, you know, and I thought that was cool. And then I saw the highlights of the match that followed with him.
Followed up with it. Yeah, that was last night, I think it was. Like they had, and
that's what I thought from the YouTube video. I think it said it was just posted like 22 hours ago or something.
Yeah, I think Jungle Boy with his new heel turn too. I think he's coming out to Beethoven now too, instead of. I
think he's what?
He's coming out to Beethoven, is what I heard. I have yet to watch Dynamite yet, so I got to tune into that. But yeah, I you know, he's got a lot of legs, I think, as a heel. You know, he's good looking. He's like, you know, he's son of a movie star, late movie star, and I think you can definitely feed off of that a little bit too. So, you know,
yeah, good looking kid.
Yes, yeah.
I realized that I had the other one on season pass, but not the Wednesday one. So I had, I guess, Rampage. That's the Friday one.
That's the Friday one, and then they have Collision too on Saturday.
So yeah, I adjusted that because I wanted to see what's going on Wednesdays. So I'll make an attempt to watch a little before our next podcast.
Hey, interesting. Oh, that'll be good. A little topical, current event stuff. Let's see. The only thing I was going to ask you, I heard that
you only got one question.
Well, for the rest of the show, this is it. Then we'll wrap it up. Well, I read online that the Israel show is off temporarily. Is that true?
It's true that it's off. Yeah, I hadn't been pushing it because of the reason that it's not official to me until I get my deposit.
Yes.
And so, you know, I might have liked a couple of the posters I saw, just hearted it, but as you know, we've discussed this before. Just because I hit the heart, don't assume that I read it or listened to it, you know, or whatever. It just means, hey, you got my support.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dino. I never have the sound on when I'm on my phone.
He's been a regular. I've seen him. Pretty consistently.
Yeah. Did he do the one of a kind? Somebody did one of a kind, like
a trumpet or something with a horn.
Guitar. I was thinking. I don't know, but yeah. Anyway, I listened to that one, but I don't think that was him. Anyway, so I like the comments. Doesn't mean deposit didn't come, you know, and so it was already late. It was the date had gotten moved once, so already it's like, yeah, just, you know, after this much experience in the industry, that happens sometimes. So when you get the deposit and you got money in your bank, then at least, you know, they've invested in something. So for me, it's like I'll put the X on my calendar once I got money. Otherwise, if somebody else wants that same date and they're willing to send money, then that's, you know, I know what I'm going to do. And I got, you know, cow doo-doo in one hand and I got money in the other. So
which one are you going to go with, right?
Yeah, that happened though. The date, the pushback date passed with no deposited money. So Rick Bassman made this press. Did you see the press release he wrote, or?
No, I did not.
Okay.
I just read an article that it was off.
Okay, so what I got from what he wrote was basically that he's saying for sure all the Americans or the Israelian.
I think that's right. Israelis.
all the out of country talent, they're not going to be there. Don't advertise them. Don't be buying tickets thinking we're going to be there. So that's what I got out of it, was that they could maybe continue the show with just their locals if they got a little bit of momentum going, and that was their evil plan. I don't know, but that's all I know, dude, is that that was going to be so busy for me anyway.
Yeah.
It was going to be so busy. Like my friend yesterday that he books me on some stuff, and I was telling him how busy I've been. He said, I thought you didn't like to be that busy. And I'm like, I don't, but I mean, for a certain, certain amount, it's worth it. And then I'm going crazy a little bit, but it's worth it because I've already worked all that out in my head,
Right.
So boom.
Yeah. Something off your plate, and you're always going to have something added to the plate at some point or another.
Always. Yeah. And it's already happened.
Right. See, I can imagine, right? That's how it goes. Well, I wanted to ask you too. Did you get some good feedback regarding the Jerry Lynn episode last week at all? Or I know it's kind of early because it released on Monday, but it just was one of my favorite episodes. I think just because I like
of our podcast.
Yeah, the podcast name.
I don't remember seeing any feedback or getting any feedback.
Yeah, it's still relatively early, for the week so far and stuff like that too. So, but yeah, it was one of my favorites.
I try to read the comments on my YouTube page, which when they do 3 a day or when YouTube Chris does that, which for some reason he isn't now, then it's hard to keep it. But I try to, that way I get, an idea of what's going on. And also, if I can react and hit them back and whatever. But sometimes I get too busy to keep up with that. And outside of that, I get a lot of people just telling me like, hey man, I dig your podcast, man. Keep doing it. So it's a lot more general like that.
Yeah, that's usually it's the word of mouth thing that I think I hear more than anything else is like, hey, it's
I've been hearing it a lot more in my appearances and stuff. Like, oh, that's new. Got people coming up signing and telling me they're keeping up with me like every week. That's cool.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. Hell yeah, cool. Well, speaking of YouTube, Chris, he told me, and I told you this before we started recording, is that we only have Wrestler Spotlight this week because he thinks it's going to cover a lot of time. So. It'll be an interesting one. Before I get to that though, I forgot. I almost forgot the dream match that people have been doing because of the Mike Awesome thing. We mentioned Bret Hart last week. I thought that was a very cool one. That I got a little traction on that with the Inside the Ropes too on the website. But another name that got mentioned, and I'm kind of curious how you're gonna think about maybe how you would have worked with him because he was such a stickler for matches and stuff. Is Randy Savage. What was your interaction with Randy? Have you ever had some before he passed? And how do you think you would have worked with him?
I never think about this. So thank you for asking because you just brought up a good memory in my head. Like that was locked up in there. Like I forgot this even happened. This is the exact same night. YouTube Chris can put this in chronological order. No, but this was when I visited WCW. So this is before the 97 Barely Legal.
Okay, yep.
When I went to WCW and they were in Savannah, Georgia. I lived there. I went to see either Scotty Riggs or Louis Spicoli or both of them, say hi, and talk to Eric Bischoff. And I outside had a little alone time. He offered me a job to jump ECW, and some of the other guys were already jumping too at that point. So I don't know if I always wondered if the price that he threw at me was the formula that they got to, because I think Sandman was already there. Raven, I'm pretty sure, was already there.
Raven was definitely there, I think. And then maybe Perry Saturn. I think
yeah.
Sandman came later on, I remember. He was later. Then they called him Hack.
After this, though? I mean, after this night? After Barely Legal?
Night, I believe.
After Barely Legal?
After, yeah.
Or
unless I'm mistaken, too. But.
Okay. I mean, Barely Legal, I guess, was soon after, a couple weeks after. Anyway, that whole night, after the show, downtown in Savannah and on River Street little cobblestone road right there on the river. It's a cool place to walk around, drink, twist your ankle. And there was a bar down there that the boys were at. And I remember talking to Macho Man then. And that's weird because this would be the only conversation I ever had with him. And I totally forgot about it till just now. Like, it's weird. It's weird. Like when I can tell it was a really thick door that just opened up. You know, that's sometimes that happens, and other times it's just rehash stuff. But Brian Knobbs was talking to me, and then introduced me to Macho Man, and everyone was being cool, like they'd heard of me. I guess they watched me in ECW. I was kind of a hot topic for Good Future coming up, dude. Man, I would have been 25, I guess, or 26. 26 was 97. Anyway, I remember Macho Man sitting at the bar, and just talking to me, telling me he heard a lot of good stuff about me. Watch what the fuck not. Watch what Knobbs is saying. He's full of shit. I think he was joking, but he was like telling me, you can have a really good future. I'll put in a good word for you in WCW if you want to go that route or whatever. And I just remember like, man, that was just so over the top cool, and he didn't have to do that. There was no. That's what I always think about. That was he didn't have. He didn't have to be that cool to me. You know what I mean? Like, I was so out of the way awesome. He was watching it when I first started watching. He was wrestling on top when I first started watching it, and all through, my years as a fan, he was always top guy. So, of course, I got nothing but respect for him, even though, oddly, his brother inspired me more.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But yeah, I was just like, it was almost like a middleman who said, "Hey, this is a good friend of mine, talk to him and put him over." Yeah. But there was no middleman. There wouldn't have been.
Yeah. Huh. So since he was so particular, like with how his matches were laid out and structured and everything, you always hear about the WrestleMania 3 match that you were at with Steamboat and everything. That was all laid out. Would you be able to work in that kind of element with Savage if he were, "Hey, Rob, I got all these laid out for you"? Would you be able to do something like that?
I bet if you put that match up against the average TV match nowadays, I bet you it wouldn't stand out as being too set up to put together. In the scripted era that we have, I think that the standard norm has become what he might have complained about back then.
Yeah, that is true. That's a very good point.
Having said that, I can do that style, although sometimes you just have to go with the moment and substitute some stuff, and thank God, because it's those moments that still, keep it real to me when I'm in a situation where it seems more about a story that we already had in mind, specifically verb by noun by adjective, as opposed to seeing what we got. But yeah, does that answer your question?
I think so. Yeah, it's definitely a different landscape, but how he, and what you were saying earlier too, how like you started watching when he was really like still at the top and everything like that, and like as a viewer for me in the 90s, I was like, oh, Macho Man's a personality, but he was so much well known for his ability in the ring too. And that was something that dawned on me later on that I wasn't even aware of, as how great of a wrestler he actually was. So
and as a fan, he never struck me as a nice guy. You know what I mean? Like he was intimidating, if anything. Didn't seem like someone that I'd want to have a little conversation and chat with. He's a little too intense, I would have thought.
Right, right. All I knew him for was the colors and Slim Jim. That was it.
Man, he looks so good in Spider-Man.
Yes, Bonesaw.
Vascular and everything when he was in the cage.
Yeah. Oh man. And that was around the time too where you wouldn't hear that kind of stuff, or like it wouldn't get reported too early. So when you saw him on the screen, I was like, "Holy shit, that's Macho Man!"
Yeah, yeah.
Pretty.
I remember that as looking his most intense.
Yes, yeah, very much so. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so somebody who else is pretty intense and was known for his intensity is our wrestler spotlight this week. So YouTube, Chris. Ooh, Bulletproof Troop. All right. Heck
He's
yeah.
my homie.
Yeah?
Bulletproof's my homie. Yep.
Nice, man. Nice. So
bad motherfucker. Don't let him catch you talking shit.
All right. I'm not going to say a word. Nothing. We are talking Triple H this week, Rob.
All right.
Oh, yes. You mentioned how nice of a interaction you had with him at your Hall of Fame induction and everything, and
we're gonna get so many little cuts out of talking about Triple H because
exactly what Chris told me.
I saw with Taz. There was like 12 different little clips of RVD's about to talk about.
This is the little piece here,
yeah.
little piece there.
A little closer to talking about it.
Yeah. So no, that's exactly what Chris told me. He's like, "You're gonna get a bunch of clips out of this one. I'm telling you." So. All right, so let's take a look here where we started off.
Hey, Taz reached out to me too, by the way.
Oh, did he really? What do you think?
Yeah, from those clips, you know.
Oh,
and he
nice.
Said, yeah, so we had a nice little back and forth chat conversation the other day for a while, so that was cool.
Oh, that's great. That's great to hear. Yeah. Oh, I'm happy about that. Yeah, Taz, man, I was always a big fan, but then when I got to talk to him, like at an interview kind of standpoint and stuff, I was like, dude, this guy's like so easy to get along with and everything at that point. So.
He loved the business, and you know that's what used to be the most important compliment in the closed door society that I joined.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever loved the business the most was like was best. You know what I mean? Like you would fight over that if someone said they love the business more than you. No one loves the business more than me. You know, like that was a legitimate beef, like way back in the day. Hey, nobody loves the business more than I do, bro. You know, you could really get someone's face. Are you serious, bro? What, you're saying you love the business more than I do? That's what you're trying to say? Like that could really insult some people back in the day. And it's just, you know, like, I don't know. I respected it, but I knew when I got to a point where I was like, you know what? Everybody in this dressing room loves the business more than I do. Like, what the fuck am I doing here?
You get to know that point.
But I was always honest and open and transparent. That's always been important to me. You know what I mean? But then after a while, as the values shifted, and I was burnt out, you know, that was a big part of my history, why I left, why I didn't resign. I was burnt out and never really recovered to go to the full time. But yeah, during all that though, it was my values were changing to the point to where it was like, you know, they're still excited to be around each other, you know. Yeah. They just want to talk wrestling on the bus for 10 hours before we get to the building, play wrestling video games in the dressing room up until their match time, go out there and wrestle. It started, you know, like those, you know, were apparent flags for me for a long time, to where I was like, if that ain't the universe telling me, you know, that I should get my seat up on the bus pretty soon. I don't know. But then I had my ego back in, you know, arguing against that, saying, fuck them, man. I'm working my, you know, look at me in the ring.
Yeah.
Crushing it, you know, and they're not as good as you, bro.
That's right. Oh, cool. Well, so yeah, flat out, when did you first meet Triple H?
Ooh. That is a great question.
Did you happen to cross paths when you visited Killer Kowalski's school at all? Because I know he trained there.
I want that to be true so bad.
Let's say it. Let's just say it.
I met him actually when I visited Killer Kowalski's school.
Oh, okay.
In 1989, I was still in high school. Dude, I looked through. Hi, baby. I looked through photos that I had taken from that visit, you know, when I was at his school and the wrestlers in the ring. And I wanted so bad to be like, oh my God, he was there. But I don't think it really, I don't know. I think that I heard that he was there later, like maybe he was there in 91. And I don't know if that's true or not. Something like that. Something like that. And I was there, had him in 88 or 89 because I graduated high school in 89. And I know it was, wasn't it before that? I don't even know that for sure now. But anyway, I think it was 89. Yeah, because I was 18 still. But I think I had, maybe I don't know. Maybe I already graduated. That's getting my stories confused now. But I think it was 89. And I think that I had read somewhere that Paul was there in 90 or 91. But I can't remember for sure the first time that I met him. I think it would have had to have been I think it would have had to have been in 97 when I did the invasion to Raw.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. Okay. Because I was curious. If maybe because I mean, he was in WCW too for a little bit.
Yeah. I don't think we bumped past there. And I don't. It doesn't stand out in my mind as any significant event that happened. So I probably met him along with a bunch of other people at the same time.
Yeah. Okay. So in 2001, when you came into the WWF, he was out rehabbing with a torn quad. I remember that in that big tag match he had with Stone Cold where he ruptured his quad. He wasn't married to Steph at the time, so he didn't have the power backstage that he now has. But when you were coming into the WWE, did any of your friends warn you about him, or did you ever hear negative things or positive things maybe about Triple H when you were going there? Either way?
I think that I've always got warnings about him since I knew of him, I think. But I could have that twisted in my head. But when was Bret Hart's documentary Wrestling with Shadows?
So that a lot of that, what was documented, took place in 97, and I believe Wrestling with Shadows was released in like 1998. So like the year.
So I developed an opinion on him off of that.
Okay. Yeah.
Among other things. Also, I remember an interview he did on something that I saw that was like one of those secrets of pro wrestling, one of those specials, like way back in those days.
Yeah.
Like in the late 90s. There was one of those, and I remember seeing him get an interview talking about how him and I don't know if it was Sean or Jesse James, but how they were going to be dropping the tag team straps that night or whatever. And I just remember at that time, I was really defensive about the business still. That was a crime to me.
Yeah.
At that time. Remember, this was just, closed door society still and just coming out of that. Like when that dude was making Beyond the Mat.
Oh, yes. Yep.
That wasn't long before that either. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's the first time I remember somebody really trying to expose what was going on. And I didn't believe it should be exposed. That's the way I was trained. I started ECW in 96, right?
I believe so. Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, 96.
January 96. And at that time, it was still a closed door society. It was halfway open by some of the people, but I resented those people, as did Sabu. I was Sabu's soldier back then. You know what I mean? Whenever he said, do that, I would have done it. I was still at that stage, and he was my mentor. So that's the way it was. And one of the buildings, God, I'm picturing the building in my head. It might have been Queen's Elks Lodge, maybe. Then it also could have been in Boston. But there was a place where the hot dog guy would try to cut through the dressing room from the kitchen to the to go out to the stands, because otherwise he had to walk like all the way around and shit. And when he would come through, Sabu would like he would knock the tray out of his hand, fucking kick his ass, you know, like throw him out the door and stuff.
Yeah.
And at that time, all the other guys in the ECW were kind of like, Sabu, do you think that's a little excessive? Because the times were just moving during that time. You know, ECW was the first crowd that I knew of, the ECW crowd, and the ECW talent wrestled in front of the first smart crowd that I know of, where, And so that was all like something that I still ain't comfortable, like some people like trying to bite the hand that feeds them. I don't get it why you would say, hey, I'm gonna pull this rabbit out of this hat. I want you don't know the rabbit's there, right? You're gonna think it's an empty hat. We're gonna show you. We'll show you the hat. You're gonna think it's empty, but it's not. The rabbit's in there, right? I'm going to turn this little mirror gimmick and pull the rabbit out. It's going to be awesome. You're going to be surprised. Okay, ready? And then they go and do it, and they actually, you know, and people are trained, so they'll be like, but really the magic ain't there when it's too predictable. And what could be more predictable than you telling everybody that you're reading a damn script? Who gave you the script anyway? I don't know. Thank God they've never given me a script except for promos. Anyway, so I remember judging Paul by exposing on that show. I thought since he was doing a job that he just wanted to be able to tell everyone, you know, hey, it's a shoot when I'm over, it's a work when I'm under. You know, like that's a long-standing joke with the wrestlers. And anyway, I had a little opinion between that and between him and Shawn Michaels talking to Bret Hart's wife. I'm sorry, Owen's wife, whoever, Bret's wife in the hallway. I swear to God, Martha, I wish I did. I wish I had. I didn't know. I did. I swear to God. You know, like, you remember that part?
Yeah. In Wrestling in Shadows. Yeah. I can't remember if it was Martha or Julia though.
Yeah, I think it was Martha, but I had an opinion of them. So there was that, and then, you know, talking to some guys like Bret, you know, that gave me some feedback before I knew the guy. So I was biased.
Yeah. When did you cross paths with Bret around that time? Like, was it during your invasion, when the ECW invasion in '97-ish?
First time I crossed paths with Bret in the front row, it is British Bulldogs versus the Hart Foundation cage match in Battle Creek Kellogg Center.
Oh.
Yeah. But first time I think that I crossed paths, remember that Dory Funk Jr. retirement match I had out in Texas? Bret Hart wrestled Terry Funk. I wrestled Dory Funk Jr.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. How about that?
That was I don't know what year that was. 96, 97?
Yeah, I think it was something around that time. Because wasn't that the match that they focused on in Beyond the Mat too? Was Terry Funk's retirement against Bret?
Yeah, the referee that was
Dennis Stamp.
Referee that was crying because he wasn't booked or something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Dennis Stamp.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's right. So that's the first time I met Bret.
Oh, okay. All right. Cool. Well, okay. So when you came in, you were put in the invasion angle, and you were part of the alliance. For those that don't know,
story.
Yes.
The blood vessel just popped open. Another story leaked out. So after that cage match, or it could have been a different night, but at the Battle Creek Kellogg Center when I don't know, I got dropped off there, so I wasn't old enough to drive, 15, 16. The Hart Foundation was there that night. Very well could have been that same match. The Kellogg Center had a hotel attached to it called Stouffer's. And man, I wanted to stay there so bad, just to partly for this story too, when I'm going to be there in September. Oh. And now I'm told the hotel isn't open anymore or something. I'm so bummed, but I have got to stay there anyway since then. But the talent usually would drive on after the matches, instead of staying at the hotel, because they had to be in Lansing or Detroit or something. But anyway, there was a bar. And so one night after the matches, Bret and Jim Neidhart, Danny Davis was there. They were in the Stouffer's bar. And I was such a big mark. I was waiting to meet them afterwards. Try and get an autograph and a picture. I wonder if I still have all those autographs. Where would they be? I'm going to have to figure that out. But anyway, I'm waiting. And then I got Danny Davis's. He was cool. Jim Neidhart, he healed me.
Did he?
Yeah. He healed me. And then at one point, when Bret looked like he was coming out or something, I got his attention. At one point, could have been when he was going in, but at one point, I was like, Bret, can I get your autograph? He goes, no, you're a Bulldog fan. And I was, as a mark, I was just like, I gotta let him know. Like, I love the Hart Foundation.
No, I'm a Hart fan.
No, I wanted them to beat the Bulldogs. I mean, the British Bulldogs were really good, but no, I was behind him. I gotta wait. I gotta catch him on his way out. That's what it was. And anyway, on the way out, I did get his autograph. He was boom, 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 and they went and got in their car and left. And I have pictures of it too, of me like stalking them outside their car. Nice. But nice. Yeah, so there was that, and then the Dory Funk Jr. match. Yeah, and I don't remember when I really started bonding with him. I think it was definitely through Kirk White, who's a California wrestling promoter.
Okay,
great guy. What's that?
Oh no, okay, Kirk in California.
Yeah, great guy from San Jose. He passed away just recently, like within the last year and a half, 2 years. Yeah. Passed away, heart attack, I think, or something. But great guy, he was a friend, not just a promoter. And he represented Bret. He was Bret's agent until he died. And I believe that's when I started bonding with Bret, was working for Kirk. And then he was telling me that Bret had questions about marijuana and stuff, and I was like, yeah. Hey, then we did got that RVD TV episode of Heart to Heart with me and Bret sitting in a hotel room. That wasn't long after, I just started hanging out with him.
Oh, no way. That's great. Holy smokes.
No.
Geez, that's pretty sweet, man. And hey, how about that? You opened the door up about the Hart Foundation.
Great guy, man. He let me and my evil ex stay in his house in Hawaii. Really? Why he wasn't even there? You know what I mean? Like in Honolulu, it was beautiful, Japanese style house, and we had a great time. A few days vacation there, and just hanging out on the front deck and looking at nature, going around the yard and stuff. And it was that was so cool. And then my evil ex had to leave to meet some guy in a Wahoo so they could go exploring.
Oh no, that is evil.
Oh, she forgot about that in the divorce settlement, didn't she?
I didn't know Bret had a place in Hawaii.
Yeah, that was so cool of him to just be like, yeah, the person downstairs there's someone that lived downstairs and they help take care of the property and stuff. And he was like, yeah, they'll give you the key and anything you need, ask them, and it was like, hey, I need weed, no problem.
You got it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Yeah, so yeah, he's always been like really cool, and I always remember he's always offered, to help me if I ever need it. Again, he didn't have to do that.
No, right? Yeah, it's a matter of like paying it forward and all that stuff, and like the respect that they have for the business too, and like carrying it on. Okay, yeah. So you were part of the Alliance, and for those who don't know, the Alliance was a merger with WCW and ECW trying to take out WWF. At this time in the storyline, the owner of ECW was none other than Stephanie McMahon. What did you think of that as like a McMahon kind of thing? Paul Heyman was doing commentary at the time, I remember that. But in the storyline, they had him sell ECW to Stephanie. Did you have an opinion on that angle of some sort? Did it make sense, or was there like, why is Paul not?
Did you say Paul sold it to Stephanie?
Yeah, storyline wise, and then he was on commentary with JR at the time because I don't think Lawler was there anymore at the time.
Okay. I don't remember the intricate details like that necessarily, but I think I liked it. I thought it was a cool idea. And doesn't it lead to like brother versus sister or something?
Right. Yeah. And they had the alliance with Shane had WCW, then Stephanie had ECW, and then Vince had WWE. So it like from the McMahon family storyline perspective, it made a lot of sense. I thought. You know?
Yeah, I think I liked it.
Yeah, me too. How did you get along with Steph at this time?
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, she was always cool.
Yeah, that's what I hear all the time about her. How great and affable and easygoing she is in a lot of stuff. And like,
yeah, I used to at first. I before I got maybe I always still, I don't know, but I used to always. This is probably weird because someone else. I think I've only told one other person this, and they thought it sounded weird, but I felt kind of dirty around her in the way that like I don't want to hold a baby, unless I want to wash my hands first or whatever because I'm probably dirty or whatever. And I just felt like here's the $1 billion princess, and then I just felt like here I am, like my shirt is soaked in sweat from stretching, and I'm like, oh hey Stephanie, and for some reason every single time I've ever hugged her, my shoulder hits her right in the chin. Still does.
Really?
Every time, guaranteed. I don't know what it is. Just bam. And I do that with almost all females. I don't know why. But for Stephanie, 100%. That's when I noticed it was Stephanie. And then I noticed, wow, like 80% of the other women, I do that too. I don't know why. When I go into hug, for some reason, my shoulder always hits him right in the chin. And with Stephanie, I used to step on her toe too. And I always just kind of felt like I was on the other side of the fence between like this is going to be taken the wrong way probably, but this is how I felt though. I felt like they're the flesh peddlers and we're just the talent, like that's how I felt.
No, I get it though. It's like, different dynamic, different class in a certain way where it's just like, hey, this is the boss's daughter and I'm a worker, it's like a different dynamic going on. Like,
I used to, I can't remember the name of this show. The lady from Xena, Warrior Princess,
Lucy Lawless.
Yeah, Lucy Lawless was in it. It was about these people had a gladiator dome in Rome, and it was all about. And he was married to her, and they just had all these slaves all over the place, and they'd use them sexually, or they would like make them fight, of course. And it was a great show. Subjectively, but I loved it. But it was like, like all the gladiators and stuff, they were prisoners. They're there, sleeping like in a cell in the dirt, and they're all dirty and stuff. And then it's like the rich family that owned the whole arena that was making a killing off of having these shows once a week or however often they had the shows. I kind of looked at it like that, like we're the dirty gladiators that are just out here killing ourselves, and they're the ones that that are the business-minded professionals on the other side.
Yeah,
it's always felt like that.
No, it makes sense though. It does. I know exactly what you're saying. Well, not I can empathize. I can't sympathize.
Look at the shackles on my feet, bro.
Right. Yeah, you won't want to be hugging, and stepping on the toes of like Caesar's daughter or nothing like that. So it makes sense, So, all right. Around October of 2001, you started a feud with Chris Jericho. In the storyline, Chris and Steph had been rivals for quite some time leading up to this. So once you and Chris started your feud, you and Steph also started to become involved with each other on TV as she was supporting you in the feud. Uh-oh. So like we talked about on a past show, you were getting a huge push at this time. In the span of 5 days, you pinned the WWF World Champion in Kurt Angle and then the WCW World Champion, The Rock. Unfortunately, both those matches were non-title matches. You're the only wrestler in the history of wrestling to do that. Wow, how about that?
Snap.
Dang. YouTube Chris, nice statistic here. To add some salt to the wound in the match with Kurt, I almost said Chris, the stipulation was, if you won, which you did, Steve Austin would get a WWF World title match with Kurt. And in that match, you got him. Austin defeated Kurt to win the title. because of you beating both Kurt and Rock all the time, you legit could have and should have been the first undisputed world champion, holding both the WWF World and WCW World titles at the same time. Jericho ended up being the first to do that in a few months later, December. So around this time, when you and Steph would be talking on camera, this is when they offered you an angle with her where you two would become an on-air couple. Talk about your memories of that. Do you remember like having that being pitched to you or anything of that regard, or like working with Steph on air? Or for when you did work with her on air, how was that too?
Say that again.
Okay, so talk about your memories of they offered you an angle where you two would become an on-air couple or something like that. And then did you have memories of that at all?
Well, I just remember like I made out with her first just to see like if we'd be awkward in front of the camera or not. I'm just joking.
Sure.
Yeah. I did have an actress say that one time though.
Like she offered to do that with you or something?
This was on Blood Moon. I mean, I'm green as can be, you know what I mean? So green, but I'm supposed to make out with this girl on a pinball machine. And like, I just met her like right before we go action. And she was like, I think she said she tried to call me the night before or something to meet me or whatever. And I was like, oh, really? You know, well, I could. And then she was like, can I get a hug? So at least I feel like I know you, you know, and hugged her. And she was trying to like bond before we go action. And I was like, dude, I don't care. Say action. And I was like, I was supposed to get her bra undone. I didn't. And I was so green, I didn't even know how to do it. I guess I'd never undone a girl's bra. I didn't understand without looking at it. Yeah. I didn't know the mechanics of it, and I was too embarrassed to say anything. So my stupid ass held up production. They had to go over and over, and they're like, "Rob, this time when you kiss her, you undo. We want to see her tits. It's supposed to be like, okay, yeah, I'm sorry." And I kept like fumbling with it. Yeah. How stupid though! I should have just told them. And she was like, "You want me to show you?" I was like, "No, I got it this time." That's how dumb I was. Stubborn. That's like we were talking about before. People would rather be right. Or no, they would rather just win the argument than be correct. You know what I mean? Like be actually correct. You know, instead defend that fucking wrong position so you don't lose the fight. And then it never did come out. They never came out, and they ended up not having a titty scene because they didn't want to shoot it a fifth time.
Jeez.
Yeah. But anyway, Stephanie's titties didn't come out.
Yes.
And she was always like super cool, and I was afraid to do. And it wasn't like they offered me an angle the way you put it. Anyway, it was more like those scripts. That was the only time I've seen scripts is they would hand it to you, and it was suggested dialogue. Make it your own. Boom, boom, boom. But I saw where the story was going, and I was uncomfortable with it because my evil ex, the most insecure woman ever. That would make my life hell at home, having a romantic angle with Stephanie on TV and having her friends tell her, yeah, I saw, like, what's going on with Rob and Steph? Like, I just, like even just being there and being on the road, she automatically assumed that I was cheating and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So it's always combating that, which a lot of guys know what that's like. And thank God I'm not in a toxic relationship like that. But it was always like I was trying to fight for trust,
Yeah.
And feeling like I deserved it. Not like a lot of people that don't deserve trust that are fighting for trust, but me actually deserving it, being honorable, being honest, being faithful, and still getting accused of every, like, don't think I don't know what's going on when you're at, just she was always like that nastiness.
Yeah.
So because of that, I was like, man, I just want to wrestle. I don't want to get involved with storylines like this and stuff, and I don't remember who I told first, I remember having to talk with Stephanie.
Mm-hmm.
I was like really upset about it. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, this sucks. And I remember Stephanie, trying to make me feel comfortable with it. And she said, predictably, just look at it like we're just actors and you're just playing a part. And I was like, okay, but, don't call me Rob Van Dam then, because I really am Rob Van Dam. I have been for, what was it, 10, 12 years?
Right at that point.
Whatever, yeah. And so, you know, that's the thing is like they always put that in there with someone else. It's weird to have somebody else help control your image and you have some control to steer it, but not total control. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
obviously you always have the absolute last say because you got 2 feet. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's what I always believe. You may not like all your options, but there's always at least one option, you know, if you want to walk. But anyway, you know, that's what I said, you know, like but you know, my image, everything like that is me, boom, boom. I remember talking to Bruce Pritchard about it. And I remember Bruce, man, I was brand new at this time. This feels like week. Wow. This is such a, fresh, like trying to figure out the chain of command and who's that dude running around with the blue hair and how come I don't trust him. And it was like, but I remember talking to Bruce and Bruce was like, you know, I'm glad we had this talk. You know, if you didn't tell me that you were uncomfortable with certain things, then how would I know?
Yeah.
I wouldn't know, you know, so now I know. So, you know, we can work around that issue, you know. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I thought everything went well. Right.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Next week when I got there and somebody, I think little blue haired Brian handed me the script. And then,
is that Brian Gewartz? Just to,
I'm not sure what his last name is.
Oh, okay. Like he was the head writer at the time.
Yeah.
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 Man, big Mets.
Probably a good guy too.
Yeah.
By the way.
He's a good dude.
But I read the script and it seemed to go further into the romance angle, you know. And I was just fresh from ECW, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like the pick a hand thing wasn't that long ago, and that was a legitimate problem-solving option. And I went to Blue Hair Brian, and he was like in a printer machine or something, work on something. And I said, hey, who do I have to go and slap to get this to stop? He goes, what? And I said, who do I have to slap? You? He was like, no. I said, who? Bruce? And he goes, no, don't slap anybody. What? And I said, I was told last week that, you know, since I told you guys that, so I figured they were fucking with me is what it was. So, you know, I got really defensive because I figured, because I'd always heard stuff about that too, that they would fuck with you and test you and rib you till you want to hang yourself, you know, and horrible stories. And Bruce was in a lot of those stories. And so I figured since he told me, you know, thanks for letting me know you don't want me to write anymore about you and Stephanie and a love interest. Wink, wink. Next week, you know, Rob and Stephanie are in the backseat of a car. You know, I was like, okay, I'll do it old school then. Who do I need to smack? You know, it was like, no, don't smack anybody. I said, where's he at? Who wrote? He goes, Bruce wrote this. I said, where's he at? And he was like, I don't know. And then I went, and I think I told Paul. I said, where's Bruce at? I gotta smack him. And I think Paul talked me out of it. You know.
Yeah.
And he was like, why? What's going on? And I told him, I said, look at this, you know, and they, you know, they're fucking with me now. I got to show them they can't fuck with me. And he was like, don't do that. It's not a good idea. And I was like, I don't want to do this, you know?
Right. Yeah.
That's what I remember going down, and Paul talked me out of it. And then talking to somebody it was probably Bruce, probably. Mm-hmm. Maybe then at a later, you know, later on in the day or whatever, about ways that we could fix it and make everybody happy. You know, what if Jericho is in love with her and he's pursuing her, but she's pursuing you, but you don't even notice? Like she's all trying to go out of her way, like, hey, Rob, and you know, hey, you look great, and you're just in your character, like, yeah, I really do, don't I? And I was like, I could see that working.
Yeah.
But then I don't really think we did much with it though.
No, I'm trying to recall it too, just from like when I was watching it, and I think I remember a little bit what you're saying.
We had that conversation, and then I don't remember where it went from there.
Yeah. No, that's yeah, because I do remember. I remember like them having like stuff with Jericho and everything at that point. But yeah. All right. So the first in-ring interaction that you'd have with Triple H was actually at the Royal Rumble in 2002. You had a very nice run over the past few months, so common sense would think that you'd have a great showing in the Rumble. Maybe even winning it if you're watching on television, you'd think that. So you come into the match at number 29 to a huge pop. Hit Kurt with a 5-star frog splash immediately, and very soon after, Triple H hit you with a pedigree. But he doesn't pick you up. He doesn't pick you up either. He leaves you laying there.
Ooh.
And you lay there for what seems like a month. Booker comes into the match, picks you up, and throws you out. You were only in the match for 2 minutes and 12 seconds, and most of it was laying there and selling the pedigree.
What year was this?
So this was 2002. So I believe this might have also been the same Royal Rumble that Triple H won. Like he returned and won from his quad. Yeah, he returned from his quad injury and won the whole thing. So the question that Chris has is, what do you think about having to sell the pedigree for so long while you were still very fresh in the match and the quick elimination? Do you remember this?
I don't remember it, so I'm not going to be able to tell you how I felt at that time. But pulling from a memory file reference of Hulk Hogan's Championship Celebrity Wrestling. Remember that stuff? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, but you reminded me of it, actually.
So I did a cameo on there, and my job that day was to teach people the importance of a finishing move. And so what I taught the class of celebrities, and if you weren't listening, we were talking about this recently, we had I think we're alone now. Tiffany. We had Tiffany. We had Screech from Saved by the Bell.
Diamond.
Dennis Rodman. Yeah. And
yep.
What's his
Danny Bonaducci from the Partridge Family.
Thank you. Yeah. Butterbean. I think there might have been another female too. Todd Bridges.
Was Gary Coleman on that?
No, Todd Bridges was the other Drummond.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, but I was teaching them the importance of a finishing move, and I was saying, with the psychology of it, the finishing move is like the end all. And I said, think of it like you're playing a video game, and if the player is able to hit their finishing move and drop it in like any time during the match, boom, game over.
Yeah.
With that in mind, that's how it should be. And I've seen a lot of matches where, say Jake the Snake would get thrown around, but boom, nail that DDT, and you just knew it was over. Cover him. Same thing with the Van Daminator. As it should be. Like if I hit you with a Van Daminator and you don't stay the hell down, then wrestling has lost attachment to its anchor, and it was already stretched quite away from it on a very expandable rope. So I hate it when I watch wrestling and I see somebody do, say a finishing like, say brainbuster, boom, and then the guy sells by standing up, which I think is ridiculous. Yeah. Then with a second one, boom, the guy stands up. Then him with a super kick, boom, he doesn't go down. Instead, he just turns. Let me tell you, if I hit you with a kick, you're gonna go down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the new age stuff that gets away from the what I consider proper psychology and the foundation of the storytelling and the importance of the finishing move.
Yeah. I
don't remember that exact Royal Rumble, but man, I sure do hate that when I see somebody take a and you know what else? I can't imagine, because I can do a really hard side kick. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
from kickboxing. Like way before wrestling, kicking a heavy bag, kicking people that have a shield pad and they're holding it, and I'm trying my hardest to kick them and send them, you know, flying, and they're trying to like hold their weight, and that's just something that you put your weight behind, and you got your whole ass and hip and leg strength to extend and the momentum and everything. And it's like to think that some people just catch that with their hand, you know what I mean?
Right.
Makes me go ugh, every time. Like, you're not gonna catch my sidekick, you know. But then there's other. I mean, there's a hook kick. There's all kinds of kicks that aren't thrown as hard. You're not always trying to kick as hard as you can. Sometimes you're trying to smack somebody in the face, and one of those you're gonna be more likely to catch. But my point is, I think like it takes the importance out of the move.
Absolutely, yeah.
Effectiveness.
Exactly. And I even look at, if you're even just talking like I know you're talking sidekicks, but even if you're talking like a simple super kick, I remember how devastating that would have been watching when I was like in the Attitude Era. And nowadays, boom, boom, everything. You have to kick like 40 of them, and it's not a finishing move anymore.
Yeah, right. And it's such a powerful kick too. Like if you're in the martial arts class and you get a chance to do a kick like that, a super kick, if they won't call it that in the dojo, but you know, on a heavy bag, and really learn how to put your weight and strength, power behind it. It's like it's an awesome move to waste, you know. And instead, you know, so you take a move that's like really effective, and then you crush it by taking its effectiveness out, and then at the same time, you take a move that everybody can imagine. It probably stings a little, like getting hit with a pie pan, and then you want to take that out there and make a match out of it.
Yeah.
It's like
same thing with the DDT too. You mentioned Jake, and it's just like boom. Once he hit that, boom, it's over. It's over.
Yeah. Yep.
Now it's a setup move, if that. Sometimes
that's the you know, it's evolved a little, but you know, in the right way, I don't know, but yeah, you get what I'm saying. That's the importance of a finishing move, and so like I don't remember how long I was there, but I do remember sometimes it seeming like forever when I had to stay out of the way. But that was more what I remember is like sometimes I would have a match, and then something would happen. Maybe someone's running in and leaving everybody laying or something where I'm on the floor outside. And then they're in the ring giving a promo, and you're outside, and you're just like, oh my God, you know, like, like trying to, like, I don't want to give, you know, sometimes I get an angle and look at the Titantron, you know, and watch that and judge by that. Otherwise, you know, if the fans are like, dude, are you dead? It's like, just tell me when it's over, bro.
Yeah, something like that. Jeez. All right, so
wait for the commercial break. Sometimes everyone's supposed to forget about you. Screw that you just worked your ass off and had a great match, and everyone in the crowd had a RVD sign. Forget about that. We want the big heel to come down and be remembered for this moment. So wait till we go dark, and then crawl your ass back to the dressing room.
Crawl back. Oh, jeez. All right, so your first match with Triple H took place in a tag match on Raw on September 2nd, 2002, edition of Raw. You teamed with the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, to defeat Triple H and Chris Jericho when you pinned Triple H with the 5-star Frog Splash. Any memories of this tag match by chance?
I pinned Triple H?
You pinned Triple H with the 5-star Frog Splash. Yeah.
Yeah, well, of course I remember that one.
Yeah.
No, what was the tag team?
So it was you and Ric Flair versus Triple H and Chris Jericho.
No memories whatsoever of that one, I'm afraid.
Do you remember ever tagging with Flair or anything like that? If there was another time by chance?
I don't remember tagging with Flair.
Yeah, because I was going to ask.
Interesting, yeah. I might have to look that one up and jar my memory. It's a hell of a thing to forget, huh?
Yeah, because I think at the time too, this is around the time where he might have been like the Raw GM, or they were having that storyline, or maybe a little bit after, and he's starting to get a little more active as a babyface adversary of Vince McMahon, I think. But yeah, that'd been pretty cool to see. I'll have to go
I'm
back.
thinking that I might have been having backstage political drama, possibly. You know.
Oh.
Like,
yeah.
I don't remember that for sure, but thinking about the timing and the players that you're mentioning, I can imagine that maybe my mind was more just trying to get through that match and probably through the night, and so maybe that's why I don't remember it as well. I mean, if I had to, I don't know for sure, you know, but I'm speculating. But I would say there's a really good chance of that, remembering how that time period was for me.
Well, I bet it was pretty rocky, too. Like, imagining you getting in there, just starting off, and then, yeah, all the different players in the game at that point, too. It's like, that's a lot to keep track of.
And everybody wanted to kind of, like, change me or give me advice or whatever, and I was really stubborn, you know, against it. So
yeah.
That made it hard, too.
All right, so let's see if you remember this one here. Your first singles match against Triple H took place on September 8th at a house show. I don't know if you will remember this. Cedar Rapids, Iowa. It was for the world title, and Triple H won the match. Any memories of that, recollection?
I know that's not true because I've never been in the state of Iowa.
Oh, really?
I'm just joking.
Okay.
A lot of Iowa fans will be like, what? Come on.
You're not a Hawkeye fan?
Yeah. No offense, Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I don't recall that match, man. That was a long time
House
ago.
shows, too. I mean, like, how many have you had of those? That's a lot to keep track of. Well, let's see here. Okay, so apparently then you won a fatal four-way match on Raw against Big Show, Chris Jericho, and Jeff Hardy, which gave you a world title shot against Triple H at Unforgiven 2002. You were the Intercontinental Champion at the time. So there was a chance you could be double champion at Unforgiven. However, on the September 16th Raw, you and Triple H had a face-to-face confrontation in the ring. You told him, I remember this. When I was reading these notes, I was like, I remember this moment. Triple H had a face-to-face confrontation. You had one with him on Raw. You told him that you admire his abilities, and you said you have proven time and time again that, brother, you can spit some water.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Classic moment.
And then you called him Mr. Muscle and Fitness and says how he waits for that cue in the music. Then you mocked how he spits the water. Then you said how impressed you are by that, and you told him that takes talent. Then Triple H said that you won't amount to a damn thing in this business. Then he said you were not championship material and that you won't ever be a world champion. He then tried to kick you, but you caught his leg and did a step-over roundhouse kick to his face and left the ring.
Eat that.
What are you going to do about that, H?
Eat that size 12, biatch.
Laying the smack down. So what'd you think of that? Any memories of that going on? And you changed it? I remember you saying the water spitting thing. I do remember.
Yeah,
that.
I think if we were to play that video back, I suspect my voice was different. Before I had the pot damaged voice.
I thought it was because all the cigarettes you smoked, chain smoked.
Yeah,
and then your cardio.
If you watch that video, right? Yeah, let's have a. No, never mind. If we held him accountable, you know, we would challenge him to. I used to hold my breath forever, but I don't want to get into that.
We can do that on a live YouTube.
Yeah, yeah. I have a feeling I would say, like, you sure can spit some water. You sure can spit that water. That's how my voice sounds to me when I look at ECW videos.
You were saying that like when you were cutting a promo on Scotty.
You're gonna get a Van Terminator. That's how my voice used to sound. Hey, for that dude that's never heard a wrestler voice, do me a favor. Just look at Al Snow's YouTube or him being interviewed in the last couple of years. Listen to Al Snow's voice and tell me how much pot you think Al Snow smoked in his career. Have you heard Al lately? He's rough, dude. He wasn't like that. Like just I think like 6-7 years ago, he wasn't like that. That came as of late. Yeah.
Yeah,
he's rough.
That's how they said. Yeah, just turned 60. I know. I saw on
awesome.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, his voice, like just like a few months ago, I heard him somewhere, and I was like, "Whoa, what happened to L's voice?" And now I'm already used to it, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah. All right, so apparently, then later on that show, you lost your Intercontinental belt to Chris.
Oh man,
I thought you were gonna, with the help from Triple H though. So Chris Jericho had some help. So a lot of the fans thought, well, you lost the Intercontinental title belt, so now that brings you up to win the world title.
Oh,
yeah, that's so. I mean, that's how a fan would think. That's what I would have thought. And then, so heading into the match, you and Triple H had a face-to-face confrontation in the ring on Raw. Again, you called him Mr. Muscle and Fitness, mocked his.
I ain't scared of him.
You ain't scared of him. Ain't scared of him. You got in the stance you do, and so then that brings you to Unforgiven. It took place on September 22nd, 2002, from the Staples Center, home of the Lakers, Los Angeles, California. You get your singles match for the world title on a pay-per-view as you challenge Triple H. Did doing this, like this world title match, it kind of hold significance to you at all? Like just being in that kind of element and knowing that you're in a huge program starting off like this? And at the Staples Center, nonetheless, I guess.
Ric Flair was with him, right? At ringside?
I don't think so. Because I think this is earlier on before they started the Evolution thing. So I think this is before, like, this is, so I'm trying to line this up here. September 20. No, it might have been. You might be right, Rob, because this is later on in 2002. So this is by the time Triple H is back in the fold of everything. So I think
I do remember the match, and I think Ric Flair was at ringside with him, and it's very possible that night that we Let me think of how I want to put this, since I can't back out of this now. It's very possible that some stuff that nobody knows about that happened could have possibly affected the rest of my career there.
Oh,
that's how I remember that match.
Really? Wow. So like trajectory kind of changed thing
there. It had to do with the discussion after the match.
Gotcha. Wow. Okay. Well, I guess this kind of leads into another question where you feel free to go in how much detail you want or how much you don't. But how are you and Triple H getting along at this time?
Now?
No, 2002. Back in the 2002 time. Do you remember?
I felt like some resentment because I was told that he was anti-RVD in the business meetings, you know, with the agents and everything, and so, you know, I took that personally, and then also I felt that there was some. I thought there was some heat there that was building up, and that this was about the peak of it.
Was it?
I felt that he was a lot of times like I don't want to say pretentious, but I felt like a lot of times that he would. I felt like he would treat me in a way that was tongue-in-cheek, disrespectful, where he thought he was going over my head, but he wasn't.
Yeah.
And I had like a buildup of that and stuff. So that's also how I remember everything coming together right there at the Staples Center.
At the Staples Center. Kobe Bryant's watching. Kobe and Shaq both at the time.
Were they there? No. Probably. I don't know.
The match started off.
One of them was, I think.
One of them was? Really?
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, that's there. Sweet. Jeez. Man. Yeah,
I don't know if he was in the suite or if he was down below. Oh.
I know he showed up on SmackDown like 2000. Back in 2000, he made an impact. All right. So the match started off differently than most of your other matches. You worked a headlock for quite a while. You even yelled at the crowd a few times, which was unlike you. Whereas anybody kind of telling you to be a little bit more like, I don't know, kind of like personality-wise different in the ring at this point or anything? Or was there...
I have no idea. I don't know. Probably, you know, because like I said, I know I was frustrated at that time.
Yeah.
of people. It felt like people weren't letting me just be me.
Mm-hmm.
I remember having that feeling, and then taking that as insulting and taking that as competitive value. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Well, you're right too, Rob, because as I'm reading these notes, Ric Flair was there. And so, because Chris goes into the detail of the match. As the match went on, Triple H, attempted a pedigree, but you countered the move and hit a 5-star. You then checked on the down referee. Triple H low blowed you that slime ball and attempted to hit you with the sledgehammer, but you hit a Van Daminator on it. Flair came down and picked up the sledgehammer.
Did I Van Daminate the sledgehammer?
That's what I was wondering. No, it doesn't look like you did. I think you attempted to hit you. That's what I'm wondering. Did you hit Van? Do you remember doing that?
No, but I remember Charles Robinson was our referee. Like, it was a very special night. Let's put it that way.
Oh, interesting. Okay. And so then
one
Flair
for the book.
Yep, by the book. Flair came down and picked up the sledgehammer, making it seem like he was going to hit Triple H, but he hit you in the stomach. Okay, so this was like a heel turn. It sounds.
Maybe
like.
I Van Daminated the sledgehammer. Sounds familiar. Yeah. Maybe a very big target, but I don't know. If I.
Triple H then hit you with pedigree for the pin. All right.
Damn it.
Son of a bee sting. Well, I mean, you kind of already talked about it. What were your memories of the match, and how do you think it went?
I think it was a good match. I think I caught him with a kick or two. Mm-hmm. But I've always had great matches with him, and he's very comfortable in the ring. He knows where he's at in the perceived story at any point. So he's someone that you can hold accountable for being there for you in times when you need it. Also, he's always has great ideas, and he knows what the crowd will react to and stuff, So
yeah,
can't say I've ever had a bad match with him. That's for sure.
Yeah, there you go.
I remember working on my 360 drop kick with him. It's like I was always like once in a while coming up with a new move or whatever, and I was like, does anyone even notice when I do it? Because like Joey Styles would notice, and he would call it out. If I added a little twist or something, instead of doing a rolling thunder, I do a rolling splash or a rolling 360 leg, whatever it was, he would call it. I did a few times with WWE, and then I was like, I don't think they're gonna know. I think no matter what I do, it's always just gonna be called a
leg drop or something, or rolling thunder is a rolling thunder.
Yeah, or a roundhouse kick with those educated feet,
yeah.
But I remember I like doing the I would duck under Triple H's clothesline, and instead of doing a spinning back kick, put my feet together and do a spinning leg drop. Drop kick. So I haven't seen someone else do that. I still don't know if someone else is doing that or not, but I still, like to do that. But I remember putting that together, and I don't know if I'd done it, if I'd never done it before, or what, but I remember doing it when it was new and I was working on my timing and shit, with him. I'm going to try not to kick him in the face real hard. Bam! I don't think that was too bad.
That was not bad. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to incorporating stuff in your style and everything, or whether he's pretty accommodating when it comes to that, you found? When it comes to, not just you, but I mean just people, other wrestlers in general, does he have that kind of reputation?
I would think as much yay as nay.
Mm-hmm.
Yay or nay.
So kind of middle road of the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Could be sometimes, could be not sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So this would pretty much end your brief feud with Triple H. You guys would wrestle a few more times in singles and tag matches on Raw and house shows, but never again in a singles match on a pay-per-view. However, in November at Survivor Series, you both were a part of the first ever Elimination Chamber match for Triple H's world title. Also in the match was Shawn Michaels, Kane, Chris Jericho, and Booker T. What were your thoughts going into this match? Is it being like a new concept and everything like that? Were you kind of looking forward to experiment and seeing what you can kind of do in there?
I was, and we were specifically told to do that. You know,
yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah. I can't remember who it was that told us in the daytime, but they said, you know, this is the first time we're trying this. You know, you guys, if you can, you know, take a look, maybe get up in there, walk around or whatever, see any ideas that you might come up with on how we can utilize this cage, you know, try and, you know, because whatever you say it is, that's what it is. It's our first time. And so we were told that. And I was like, wow, I love being creative.
Yeah. Let's making the most of it. All right. So you and Triple H started the match against each other. Later in the match, you went to the top of a pod and did the frog splash, but you didn't have enough room to jump high, and you came down and crushed Triple H's larynx. What are your memories? Now, I remember, so before we started recording here, I did read an article about how you said, like, you felt really, really bad about all that stuff happening. And, but like, and then Triple H even commented too, he was saying that he could see visually how, like, you didn't have the room, and like, it was kind of like a little, he could sense that it was not going to execute very well from his perspective too. So, do you have any added memories of that or anything that you want to add to that?
Yeah. The idea was presented to me. It wasn't mine. But I thought, no problem. That sounds cool. Should be no problem. But when I was up there, I was way uncomfortable. It wasn't like I was up there like, oh, I got this, and then just misjudged. I was up there, and I was like, okay, first off, I don't know how much spring to put into it. Because there's no bounce on the cage on what I'm jumping off of, and I couldn't stand straight up. I'm bent over because the ceiling, and so that fucked me up too. Yeah. And so I'm like, I don't know if I should just like drop down or if I should like jump out. And if I do jump out, am I gonna arch and then land actually with a little distance because I'm up higher? So I remember being up there and I felt like, wow, you know, this is like do or die. Like, I'm committed. I didn't feel comfortable, but when I jumped, I thought I was, you know, obviously I wouldn't have jumped unless I thought like, you know, I think I got this. You know, I feel like I'm gonna make the best of it, and I guess I should have just dropped straight down. And I, you know, gave a little bit of a jump out. So when I came down, my shin went across his throat, and I didn't know right away that it was hurt. I don't remember exactly when I knew, but I think it crushed his larynx. So it was pretty bad.
Yeah. And I remember too afterwards, like, you know, obviously you finished the match and all that stuff, but geez, that's got to be tough to kind of
old school
kind of stuff.
Old school mentality. Finished the match, and then I heard he took an ambulance ride later, and I think I was surprised, you know, and felt bad. It also felt like I was going to get in trouble too.
Yeah, I can imagine. Like, yeah, both those aspects running through your head. Yeah. So did you ever hear that he didn't want to work another pay-per-view with you or anything like that after the fact or anything?
I don't think so.
Okay. So Tommy Dreamer has said that when he was on the booking committee, they were discussing an opponent for Triple H at WrestleMania 19 in 2003, and Tommy brought your name up, and Triple H said that you weren't over enough. Booker T ended up getting that match. That was obviously a wild statement, as you were one of the most over guys in the company at the time. You've been asked this a lot of the years, but did you feel that he went on a personal vendetta against you to keep you out of the world title picture? The match we just talked about with him took place in 2002, and you wouldn't be back in the world title picture until 2006 when you did it on your own terms. So yeah, talk about your interaction with Triple H as you went over the years.
So at the time, it did feel like a personal vendetta. Now, I look at that as I was stuck in that competitive state of mind, thinking of him more as being one of the boys. Anytime you're one of the boys and you're in the office, you're in a hot position where the boys are going to look at you, as if you're biased for some reason, putting yourself over, why would you want to do that? But now looking at the bigger picture, what if he wasn't one of the boys and he was just another suit and tie and had those same feelings? then would I hold it against him, or would I say like, well, you know, he's obviously not one of my fans, I guess, but he doesn't think I'm over enough to main event. Was it main event WrestleMania?
That was so. It wasn't the main event, like the last match of the show. I think they wrestled like I can't remember where on the card, but it wasn't the final match of the show.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, if I'm asked, do I feel like he held me back or kept me down? I guess that's evident. The evidence right there. If that's how the jury was wavered, but also he had a right, you know, to have his opinion and his judgment, and he sat in that position in the office. So I didn't used to be able to give him credit for that, you know what I mean? And now I do. And look what he's done. You know, now he's running everything. So obviously, you know, you can't say he didn't know what he was doing or talking about. But but yeah, I mean, I do feel if it was instead of him, if it was somebody else, maybe it was Pro RVD, then I think a lot of things probably would have been different.
Yeah, sure.
Because Tommy would tell me that stuff too. Tommy would tell me that stuff back then, you know. So of course I looked at it, you know, with an even more stubborn view of, you know, competitiveness, you know, and trying to find ways to handle it that are unbusinesslike.
Well, yeah, I mean the competitive nature of it going on at the same time, and it's a very different dynamic and everything. That definitely adds to it.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, as he gained more powers over the years, what was your interactions with him like at that point? Like when kind of developing on, I guess, like, you know, even in your return, I guess, and anything like that. How was your dynamic with him, like, as the years progressed, I suppose?
I think just better and better, you know. Like I remember when I did my return, everyone had told me, he's running stuff now in 2013, and you got to call him and talk to him, you know, before you get on the schedule and stuff. And that's the way it works. And so that was a big change in stuff. The 2013 run went really well, but he's always since then just treated me with respect. And even before, like to my face, I think he was mostly respectful. It's just that I kind of felt, you know, when we were in that, again,
when you're in the game.
Well, yeah, when you're in the game, I always felt like even though he was treating me respectful, I felt like it was kind of like backhanded. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like he never would have said something insulting or deliberately, but you know, maybe something like, "Oh, hey, glad you could join us, Rob." When everyone's already been talking about a 6-man match, and I've been avoiding it for, you know, long as I could, till everyone said they need you down by the ring, and then 20 minutes into it, you know, I'm walking real slow, and then I got there. He would say, "Hey, glad you could join us, Rob. You know, you need something to munch on, or are you good? Okay." You know, he'd say little things like that, and I'd be like, "Hey, I know what you did.
I know what you're doing.
I'm gonna remember that." Yeah, it was more, but yeah, just, you know, more and more that, less of that, you know. And like when I see him at the Hall of Fames now and stuff, it's, you know, it's just, it's all good.
Yeah, yeah. When you see the WWE product, not that like you're always watching or anything, but do you see certain elements of his kind of what his thought process or psychology or philosophy, I guess, for lack of better words, is on the television product as you watch it when you see it? Like you're like, oh, that's kind of Triple H's fingerprints, I can tell, or that's something that he would definitely be into. That it makes sense.
No, I don't. Yeah. I don't think I've seen and identified that.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, what do you think his legacy overall is in wrestling right now, like as Triple H?
Well, shit. I mean, if you really think about what he's done as far as ascending in this industry, he's made it higher than any of the boys ever.
Unprecedented.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And so he went from paying tuition, I suppose, to Walter Kowalski, and Melbourne, Massachusetts back in 90 or 91. And he went through all of his years of learning and making the right moves and stuff to where he's running the WWE. Like, dude, I think that's pretty fucking remarkable, you know? And so, like, I think he goes down as that example of success and what could be achievable.
Absolutely.
You know? Believe yourself.
That's right. You talk about the American Dream, Daddy. It's like Nate's got that.
Real, yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's a hell of a run. He's still going.
From terrorizing to Triple H, the game, to a creative CEO or whatever his title is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, you know, and again, I mean, when you say, when someone asks, like, what is your legacy, you said that's like what they'll be remembered for, right?
I think so. When I think of legacy, that's kind of what I think of. Like, okay, if you're looking back as a fan or even just as like a historian, like, what did this person mean to the industry? Legacy, you know?
Yeah. So, man, he went through it all from the bottom to the top, the traditional route, and ended up taking over, running everything, and probably making an unprecedented amount of money at it too. So I think that's a pretty damn good success story. And what he's done to the industry is, you know, he's not just taking it over, but he's continuing it in a time right now when it seems like we need somebody with credibility to grab the reins, you know?
Absolutely. Like, you see about like potential for it to get out of hand. Like, it's kind of comforting in a way for a fan to realize, like, well, Triple H, he was trained by Killer Kowalski. He went through the rankings and all that stuff, where he's got the knowledge in the background, where he has respect and a love for the business that is there. And it's good to have somebody like him at the top of it, like, kind of, you know, being a mind for it. So, yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Pretty solid foundation he built. You know, he didn't just walk into the executive office and say, I'm taking over.
Yeah, no, they definitely put the time and work and effort into it. So, cool, Rob. Well, we've been going pretty long. Only thing, maybe we'll just do one Ask RVD question this week, and then we'll get to the.
There was some decent ones I saw on Twitter today.
There were some good ones. Let me see which one do I want to go with here? Oh, here's a pretty cool one, and I wasn't really aware of this too. That you were on X-Files. My wife, Lindsay Schoen, is a huge X-Files fan. Did you have memories or stories from being on the show playing the character Death Angel? She'd love to add your autograph to her I Want to Believe poster next time you're in the UK. So I also have a picture of you in the FX in the X-Files. So, and I also saw you had like a Zorro look going on too at the time. What were your memories of that?
This guy was in like something to Arizona.
Amazing Arizona?
No, I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me start over.
Mm-hmm.
The guy that I'm wrestling with, he's a fighter, you know, an actor, Randall Tex Cobb. He's also an actor. Raising Arizona. Do you know that movie?
Raising Arizona. Yep.
I think he's a bounty hunter in that or something.
He's like a bounty hunter biker kind of dude. Almost like.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen the whole movie, but yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah,
part.
Yeah, I remember him. When you said that, I was like, yes, I can definitely identify that.
Yeah, and cool dude because, you know, he's like one of the boys. I don't know if he was a boxer or a kickboxer. He was a bit punch drunk, you know, as we used to call it. I can't remember what style that he. I kind of think he might have been a kickboxer, but anyway, you know, you can look him up. Quite a well-known fella. You know, he had earned his fame working hard, and so anyway, he's the main guest star, and I'm just like in there wrestling with him, and and there's a scene where in the ring, and he has a twin brother in the storyline that's going to walk into the arena, and while he's wrestling with me, he looks up and he sees his brother in the bleachers. It's like, and he hadn't seen him, I don't know, since they were little or whatever, but he recognizes him. Can't remember exactly the storyline, something to do with clones or brothers or something, but it totally, takes his mind off the match. And he wants to go after his brother, and I am to, grab him and bring him back, and like wrestle him and stuff. He's trying to get away to go after. He hates his brother for some reason. I can't remember why, but he wants to kill him. And anyway, when we go to shoot this scene, we talk. Oh, shit. Okay.
You're good.
All right.
We needed one. We needed one this time.
That was scary. I thought I had more liquid up here.
Oh shit! You spilled something too.
Yeah. See, you got me doing these Billy Jack hook kicks.
You're right. You just keep your foot there. You'll nail it.
So
you were shooting the scene when you.
Yeah, and then like boom, he's gonna try and get him, and then I'm gonna catch him. He's gonna try and like dive through the ropes to get him. Man, that dude was so committed. He wasn't holding back at all, and it was like action. And I have him. I think I have him in that toe hold where I marched back and grabbed him.
I saw a picture. Mm-hmm.
So I have him like in that move so he can see. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so he sees them, and then like when he gets away, I gotta kind of undo my foot and roll around to recover my foundation so I can go to get him or whatever. And they go action, and he looks, and all of a sudden like boom, like he took off so quick. He dove through the ropes, and there's a gurney down there, just like they normally would be at ringside, like with ECW with a stretcher, and he dove through the ropes, and I barely like caught his foot, and then he just went bam, like face down onto the gurney, boom, and it like flipped up, and he fell on the ground on the cement. And I couldn't pull him back into the ring from there. So, the first take it wasn't good. We had to redo that one, and I was just like, "Bro, you're really going for it. Holy
you're method acting and a half."
Yeah.
Jeez.
Take it easy, brother.
Pump the brakes.
I felt bad, though, because I think he gigged, too. He was bleeding from his head somewhere after taking that bump through the gurney onto the floor.
Jeez. Pretty fun experience, though, for you?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was cool. It was one of those things where, for some reason, the director is filling up my head with all this work we're going to be doing together, and never heard from him. Yeah. That's happened a lot, where they're like, "Oh, wow, and you live in LA? Wow, yeah, that's great. I could use someone like you." Absolutely. Yeah, we'll exchange numbers. And I don't know why, but I guess that's part of the industry.
That sounds like show business.
Yeah.
Sounds like it.
That's why I don't, now, like, no matter what somebody tells me, someone could be like, yeah, we're doing an action movie, based on your life. It's a $8 billion project. I'll be like, all right, that's cool. Let me know what's going.
Keep me posted.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Rob. Hey, thanks for sending in questions, guys. I'll be sure to get more in. But if you want to, use the hashtag AskRVD. Go on Twitter, go on Instagram, go on any social media platform and see what I'll try to look it up if you're there. So, but we'll add it to the docket here. We got some good ones going on. So
cool. And by the way, this is where you find it. Someone in the questions said, "How do I watch the show in its whole? Its clips are too short." Dude, it says right there.
Right in the center of the screen, sir. Right there. Every Friday at 4:20 p.m. on Premier Streaming Network.
I like the way some of them are cut, though. Like on the Taz episode. Is that you or YouTube, Chris?
That's me. I cut them.
Be like,
what happened?
You were telling like a story of the build-up with me and Taz, and then I'm like, And that was just, I mean, and then that was just like the first time. And then what happened? And then cut.
Boom.
Yeah.
Cliffhanger.
Good stuff, dude.
Thanks. You got to leave them wanting more.
That's what happened.
Mm-hmm. That's what happened. Cliffhangers, baby. I've watched a lot of Stallone in my day. So, all right, Rob, it is time to wrap it up. And that means it is time for RVDology. So if you have some, enlighten one up, because Rob's going to enlighten you up. He enlightened me very much so last week with competition and competitiveness. This is one that I'm going to have to hone my skills over for quite some time, because I am very competitive when it comes to certain things. And like when you were saying too, like when you're in that mode and you, it's almost like a restlessness. It can be restlessness for some people, but it's also like when you're in that mode, it's kind of like you're there, you're in the element. And I kind of feel like that in my profession of like, hey, I want to be the best wrestling writer I could possibly be. And like, then I start trying to measure up to other people, or what other people in my industry are kind of doing and what I want to be doing ultimately and certain things like that. And then it's just like, you kind of be like, to think about it and put it in your small little accomplishments throughout the day is what I need to be more conscientious of. Is like, hey, the little wins of that you do. And then measuring up to people, it doesn't necessarily matter because everybody's on their own path. So it's very much like, yes.
That's very true.
It's very true. So it's like, I can't be worried about what this person's doing because that's their journey. That's not my journey. My journey is going to be different, and whatever happens kind of happens. And, you know, you just make the little wins. So Rob, that was my favorite RVDology I think we had last week.
Awesome.
Yeah, man. So it's going to be a learning process for me, but I'm up for the challenge. I like it. So
cool. Yeah, I was just thinking because I had to ask you about this subject if we already talked about it. I couldn't remember, but eventually, and there's still plenty of values that I live by that I will share, but sometimes they're worth going back and hitting again. You know, because you're not going to catch me being inconsistent with what I say, especially when I'm talking about the values that I live by. And that's part of being accountable, which is what I want to talk about today. Yeah. But first off, when it comes to Barbie, it's Barbie-esque.
Yes.
We got the Barbie-esque. Katie took me to the Barbie movie last night, and it was actually entertaining, but the Barbie party did not happen. That was way over promoted. So many disappointed girls showed up in pink Barbie outfits and stuff because they were supposed to have a party and prizes and souvenirs, and there wasn't any of that. We got a little pin, and she got on Instagram to see what the other theaters did, and some of them had some of the promised stuff, or one, I guess each theater had like one item or something. But anyway, I actually enjoyed the movie, and when we're talking about what you were just talking about, you know, just the whole that whole and you know, and I said this last week, like if that works for you, that's great. You know, it's these are just my values, you know, and I think, and I'm here to tell you, it's okay with me if you don't necessarily want to be the best basketball player in your school, or you're the fastest runner, or the best singer, or, you know, the best at math, whatever. Like all of that, they encourage you. But I really just believe in being your best and working on improving yourself. Just like you were saying, Dominic, as far as how did you put it?
Little wins? Like the little wins?
No, you were just saying, well, anyway.
Your journey, other people's journeys?
Thank you. Yeah, everyone's on their own path. And I just, you know, not even that long ago learned a lot more about this because sometimes I would be jealous, you know, and I tell people, like people that have projects and they really want it to happen when they want it to happen, whether they need money for a movie or whether they need to get hired before this, whatever it is, it's like you can't rush things, and then you come across with this like desperate vibe and a lot of, and then the whole thing is a bad experience, and it's all like being competitive, and so like you won't be surprised to know that I'm passive, relax, let things happen, accept things that happen. And so, you know, I don't know why every kid has to be put through a little taste of every single piece of life. You know what I mean? What
Yeah.
and you know, as far as an educational institution, I haven't looked at it to really go at it, but yeah, I mean, if you're in school and you're feeling not good about yourself because the other kids are saying that you look fat in the swimming lessons and you don't want to swim anyway, then dude, I don't know what that's about. You know, I think that's crazy. But anyway, some things you will want to excel at, and you'll be better at some things than you are at other things. You know, you have affinities, but let it happen. Relax. Sometimes just be on your path. Be happy for other people in their paths too. And before I would, you know, like if somebody was like trying to get some of my friends' number, you know, for a part in a movie, I'd be like, well, why not me? Why do you want his number? You know, like part of my ego would be doing that. And now it's like, yeah, cool, dude. Yeah, he'd be perfect for that. You know, I don't care. And it's like so comfortable, so fulfilling having that. Talking about accountability though. So when you're accountable, it means that people can count on you. And it's a very respectable quality to have. Not everybody has it. Some people are very unreliable, which would be pretty much the opposite of being accountable. You know, if you give me the keys to your car and you think I'm accountable, which, by the way, you can hold me accountable for it. You know, certain business arrangements or positions in life mandate that you are accountable. You know what I mean? Hey, you brought those guys in here, you're accountable for them. If they fuck up, it's on you. Sometimes that's the way that it works. But you got to at least be accountable for yourself. And a lot of people aren't. They'll say something, and then if you question them on it, they don't care. They'll just say they didn't say it or just move on. No accountability whatsoever. And I realize now with social media, I think I had a breakthrough because I think I realized the difference between me posting things on there and the other people that are just the Twitterers that are more comfortable with growing up with this stage of unaccountability. See, I'm famous. So when I put something out on Twitter, I look at it like it's a public posting, you know? Mm-hmm. I mean, I got like 1 million followers, something. It stopped counting a long time ago. I don't know why it does that, and it follows people randomly on its own. But anyway, I look at it like I'm going to be held accountable for whatever I say. I can't take it back. I would be canceled if I started saying racial thoughts or some of the things that the other Twitterers are saying and are able to say. And I'm realizing that they're just not held accountable. That's why they don't care. For them, it's just a conversation, right? I mentioned this last week. One guy on YouTube was talking about the event where Sabu and I got busted in Ohio with the marijuana. And the guy said, man, those two guys, you know, what jerks. Like the company's investing money in them and they can't even wait to get back to the hotel to smoke. They deserve to lose their titles. So everything that he's mad at is misinformation. The weed was not being smoked. It was in a bag in the glove compartment. Nobody ever accused me of smoking it while I was driving. But the story broke down to this guy. But now that he said that, can we hold him accountable? No, because he's not going to give a fuck. You know what I mean? It's like, and why would he? Because nobody knows who he is. He can just like move on. Maybe he's got no followers or whatever. And I'm realizing that even like a social media format is looked at differently like that. So anything that I say, I have to stand behind what I say. And so a lot of what I say is I'm sharing from my experience or my education. A or whatever. You know, I put on there recently something about that I spend hours a day watching First Amendment auditors dealing with police. And then somebody said, well, if you spend hours doing that, don't you think that's going to make you biased? And right away, I'm like, what evidence do you have that I'm not equally watching the other side and watching pro-police ones, or you know, why even? And I start thinking, like, why would you, you know, because our ideology tells us there's always a bigger picture and you only know a little bit about everything. But I realize it's just conversation for people. In a normal conversation, I could say that to you. Well, won't that make you biased? No, silly. I watch equal amount of this. Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. But I wouldn't do that like in a public posting because I'm held accountable. So that's a big difference. Anything we write, it stays there forever. So you can always hold that against us. And I'm fine with that. I love it. I'm a big fan of everybody filming everything. People get really pissed off having cameras on them. They incorrectly sometimes think that it's a crime, a federal crime to film them when they're in public, and it's not. You don't have to have somebody's right to film them in public. And the reason that I like everything being filmed is because I'm a firm believer in transparency. All right. So, like, let's take police, for instance. Okay. A lot of people on this conversation on Twitter that I had, they were complaining, you know, that, oh, but the cops, you say to stand up for your rights, but the cops, they do whatever they want and they get away with it. I hear you, but the way to fight corruption is with transparency. That's what I believe, because if you have transparency, then you can have accountability. Yeah. How can you hold somebody accountable for something that nobody can prove? But if you actually see on video what they're doing, well, guess what? You can make a change. And a lot of us believe in making changes or influencing in the right direction with things that we say. Obviously, I'm one of those people. That's another thing that makes me accountable. So Bret Hart let me stay at his house when I was in Hawaii. You know, we weren't like best friends. That really meant a lot to me that he trusted me that much. He held me accountable. That means if I would have lit a joint up and burnt his place down, I would have taken the responsibility of saying, yes, hold me accountable. What do we got to do to fix this? That's being accountable. It's a respectable quality. It's admirable. It's something that you should strive for. If you think of yourself and you say, you know, I'm not accountable for shit, we probably don't share the same values. Being accountable is trustworthy. You want the keys to come into my house and watch my dogs while I'm out of town? Can I hold you accountable for any damage, anything that goes missing, any suspicious claims that are brought up? Are you going to be able to address those? Accountability. And when you're someone in my position, you take that seriously. Pretty much anybody that's in a high-profile position should. They don't always. That's why you see stars getting busted sending dick pics that are stupid because they don't know how to be famous. Why? Because they're basic thinkers still. They haven't learned yet. I have learned, and so that's why I am sharing it with you. So be accountable.
Heck yeah, man. Accountability is key, and like that's another thing too. You want to progress in life. Say if you're just like working your way up, accountability helps with that, you know. And
accountability, yeah, accountability. You know, think of it as many people can hold you responsible, and rightfully so, because you can back it up. You know what I mean? You're going to take a loan out. You're going to borrow this much. And you tell me you're going to pay this much. Pay this much VIG a week, 5% until you pay the total down. Guess what? I'm going to hold you accountable to that. You know, tell me you guarantee you're going to beat anybody else's prices on a pizza. Guess what? You better, bro. If I find a cheaper pizza, holding you accountable, bro.
Right. If I go to Domino's and it's more than that, you better just match that price or make it better for me.
Accountability. If you don't have accountability, then that really means you don't have any credit. You don't have any. You're not. Your value isn't worth the weight of anybody's trust, or even materialistically. You're not able to secure a feeling of adequate responsibility. So no, you ain't getting the keys to my car. Hell no.
No way.
I better tell somebody that before. Like, dude, no, you're not getting. Why would you even think that? And you disappeared for like 2 weeks, then and I couldn't get hold of you. You just popped up, telling me you're going to take the car. Hell no. You're not accountable. But you know what? The one thing all of us can do, you should be accountable for your own actions.
Absolutely.
If you said it, you said it. If you did it, you did it, right? You did it. You can be sorry about it. You can say you learned from it. You could say, hey, you can hold that against me, but I know now I grew from that. I don't feel the same as I did back then, but yeah, that's right. I peed in the bed.
That was me. I took the whiz. I'm the whizzer. There we go.
Shouldn't have been drinking that much when I was 12 years old.
No, it shouldn't have.
I don't know. But anyway, dude, that's basically it for now. Let's wrap it up with accountability. Keep it in mind. Hold yourself accountable. Make it known to other people. Vibrate in accountability, respectable, trustworthy vibration, so people can respect you, trust you with their shit, not worry about you being around. Be accountable even for your actions. Hey, you're going to behave in here, right? You said you were going to behave. I'm holding you accountable to that. If you said you're going to behave and you go and act like a goofball, then guess what? Boom. You completely blew your credibility with me. And I'm going to smack you.
That's right. And whoever promoted that Barbie movie where they're going to have all that good stuff, they should be held accountable.
Exactly. That's exactly what I told. And by the way, yeah, that had a lot to do with the competitive spirit. That's what I was thinking, and it didn't get around to it. Talking about how Barbie set standards and how all the movements against the standards that the pressure she put on girls to be good looking and have good. I mean, they covered all of that in like underneath the storyline. It was I thought it was great how they did it, and I also thought it was very much coinciding with RV theology that we were just talking about, because they had all these different beautiful Barbie, fat Barbie, black Barbie, status quo Barbie. It was a lot of them were, like I said, inside jokes that I didn't get, that people laughed at, but because I didn't know all the different models that came out, but I appreciated that underneath it. The fact that it was like the takeaway was it's okay to just be you, and that's what Barbie wanted to do.
That's it, man. That's it.
Right, baby?
Yeah.
She just came in the room to get the. Was that your takeaway from the Barbie movie?
Yeah, it was.
Just be yourself.
Yeah.
You don't have to compete,
Sure.
Anyway, cool, dude.
Good stuff.
Enjoyed it. Yeah.
Covered plenty.
Enjoyed it again, bro. Next week we'll talk about how you were glad that someone considered you accountable for your actions.
For what I do. Yep. Absolutely. Cool, man. Well, guys, thanks for tuning in. And yes, we will see you next week. Rob, did you want to plug anything before we go? Anything we got?
I don't think so. I didn't go anywhere since I think Knoxville, and I said I just did stand up. I'm going to put that on the
nice, yeah.
And I also just put Knoxville up on the YouTube also, so you can look at those videos. Try to stick them in between. Folks. What's that?
Like and comment, folks.
Yeah, man. Don't be afraid. I will look at the comments and read them.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And if I am so inspired, then I will comment back. And you can hold me accountable for anything that I say that goes without saying, because I'm famous. So anything I ever have said in 50 years can all, you got to hold me accountable for all of it. So that's why it's important for someone like me to say the right things, to post the right things, and for other people, I get it now. I get it. For them, it's just conversation.
Yep. The eye's more on you about it also.
Nobody gives a fuck what they say. They might attack them, get in a little bit of debate that turns into a personal insult right off the bat and then goes sideways. But yeah, there's no accountability. Why would there be? So I get that.
I want to hold that one guy, though, about him saying that he's got better cardio than you. I want to hold him accountable.
We're going to find a way. Well, you know what? So he said he would have to see the lung report, and I'm definitely willing to do that. I actually coincidentally want to show it as well, and I just went through looking for it and finding it yesterday, and I'm going to have a guy translate for me first what it exactly says, because I feel like it's going to be more vague than I wanted it to be. But anyway, I'm totally willing to do that. But I think this guy should do the same, so I can,
I want to see him race. I want to see him run and see does he have good cardio.
Same thing I want to do. Someday I want to get my IQ tested too, and then if anybody ever says that's the stupidest thing I ever heard, I'm going to be like, well, are you sure? Because this is my IQ. What are the chances are that you just don't understand it because you're stupid?
You're stupid. With 2 O's.
But yeah, hold me accountable for saying that I got my lungs x-rayed. The doctor told me for a non-smoker that they look normal. And there is some detail on there that I'm going to have translated for me. And then I don't mind going open with it. But then what? Can I hold them accountable then? Like if it says normal 52-year-old lungs for someone that doesn't smoke cigarettes, then where's the accountability on his side though? You know what I mean? Then what? Then they're just like, we just won't talk about it again.
Right. That's it.
No accountability, bro.
Accountability.
Yeah.
Hey, we got listeners. We're going to hold you accountable for tuning in next week right here on One of a Kind.
Thanks, dude.
Thank you, Rob.
You're awesome.
I was waiting for some kind of sign, some kind of indication I was wasting my time. I got myself up out the basement. I faked it long enough to say I made it. I was patient, I put up a fight. I kept saying to myself, oh, the future is bright. I confronted everything that I was faced with and put it off another day. I don't know why I don't start, but I can't quite seem to open up the communication. I wanna try so hard, but I can't find anything to give me the motivation. I took medication, went under the knife. I